Okay, good evening, everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us this evening for an early look at Transit City condominiums in Vaughan. We've been huge supporters of the growth in Vaughan, and I think that the potential for growth in this area is enormous. It's one of the fastest growing areas in the GTA, and I think it's an area that any serious investor should be considering right now. The response to this particular condominium has been unbelievable, and we're excited to have the opportunity to bring this project to our buyers. Tonight, we're going to educate you on why we think Vaughan is a great place to invest and why Transit City in particular is the cream of the crop in this huge redevelopment. We are going to go through a lot of information tonight, and the webinar will probably run around 30 minutes. But just in case you missed something or want to go back on anything, you will receive a copy of the slide deck, and we're also going to send out a copy of the recording of this webinar, which is going to be made available until Monday at 11:59 p.m. So once we finish the webinar, you're going to receive an email with a link to the recording and the slides sometime later this evening or first thing in the morning. My name is Roy Bhandari, and I'm a co-founder of TalkCondo.com. I'm a real estate broker with Sage Real Estate, and our team specializes in pre-construction condominiums, and we help buyers like yourselves secure suites in high-demand projects just like Transit City. If you have any questions at any time during the call tonight, just use the little chat box on the webinar window to the right of your screen. We're not actually going to be answering any questions live tonight, but we will go through all the questions one by one and get in touch with you to answer them. We recently had a chance to sit down and do a video interview with the president of CENTRECOURT Developments, which is the builder for Transit City, Shamez Varani, and he gave us some amazing insights into Transit City. Shamez is one of our favorite developers in Toronto, and when you listen to him talk about his projects, you quickly realize why. He's incredibly passionate about urban development and has a very sharp attention to detail to what buyers and investors are looking for. It's why their projects consistently sell out in record time over and over and over again. If you haven't already had a chance to watch the video, we highly recommend that you do to learn some really great insights about Transit City straight from the developer. So this evening, we're obviously going to talk a lot about Transit City Condos. Tonight is a preview webinar on this condo, which is going to be launching next week on Tuesday, May the 23rd. This will be the first time we release floor plans and prices. We typically run these pre-launch webinars for condo projects that are very, very high in demand. And the reason is because it helps you get key information on a condo launch ahead of time so that you're prepared for next week. In new condo projects like this, where demand is typically much higher than supply, we find that buyers who are prepped in advance typically have the most success in securing a suite. So here's a couple of reasons why we're giving you the information a week ahead of time. The first is that the early demand for Transit City, this project in particular, has been huge. For the last month, ever since the press conference, we've been getting pounded by inquiries about this project. So we felt that the best thing to do was to invite everybody on a webinar and go through all the information in one shot. And second, and probably most importantly, the reason we're running this webinar a week before is that, again, something that I alluded to earlier, is because in this market, we really believe that the buyers who are well prepared before the project launches are going to be best placed to secure their suites. Recent high-demand launches like MCITY Condos in Mississauga, Icona Condos, which is located across the road from Transit City, and Time and Space Condos in downtown Toronto, the buyers who actually got the suites that they wanted were the ones who were prepared before the project launched. So by the time we get to the final floor plans and pricing, which is coming on Tuesday, the buyers already knew what they wanted. They already had a good sense of what the project was all about, and they're able to make that decision very quickly. So tonight, we're going to help you get one step closer to securing your suite at Transit City. So here's what not to expect tonight. Before we go any further, we want to make it clear what the call tonight is not about. So Transit City has not yet launched. We're not going to talk about the prices because we don't have the prices. We're not going to talk about specifics like maintenance fees, deposit structure, or completion date. And again, it's because we don't have that information. All that information will be released on Tuesday, May the 23rd. So here is what we will cover today. Again, the webinar is designed to give you all the information that we can give you at this point to get you as prepared as possible for the launch next week. We're going to talk about the importance of working with platinum brokers to help you get VIP access to these new condos. We're going to spend some time talking about Transit City itself, and we're going to look at the developers, the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre, the location of Transit City. And then we're going to take a look at the first building itself. Oh, we had a bit of a flip around there. We're going to highlight some of the project timelines and make sure you're aware of key dates. We do expect Transit City to sell very fast, so these dates and timelines are going to be very important. So first, we're going to spend a little bit of time on the concept of the platinum agent. Some of you on the call tonight have been on our list for a little while, so you're probably already familiar with the concept. But we do have a lot of new people joining us today, so we want to spend just a little bit of time highlighting that for those people who might not be familiar with it. In essence, developers have tiers of brokers in which they release suites to. And in the industry, the top tiered group is called the Platinum VIP agent. And this is the group that typically controls the inventory at a new launch, and your chances of successfully securing a suite at the launch is increased dramatically if you're working with the right agent. So naturally, there's a couple of follow-up questions. The first is, how do you know you're working with a true platinum agent? And the truth is, you probably won't know because everybody will tell you that they are. But true platinum agents are not hard to identify. There's a reason that we get to interview the top developers well in advance of condo launches, and the typical agent does not. We've developed and maintained these relationships with the top builders over time, and we're able to use these relationships to help our clients get the best condo investments. True platinum agents typically focus solely on pre-construction. They don't do resale or commercial, and they usually have a big voice in the media or online. With TalkCondo, you can rest assured that you're working with platinum brokers with true access to the best condo projects. Another follow-up question that we get a lot is whether or not you will be guaranteed a unit by working with a platinum real estate broker. And the answer to that is unfortunately no. At the end of the day, there is only so much inventory, and while your chances increase dramatically by working with the right agent or by being prepared in advance, there's no guarantee of suite allocation. We definitely try our best to fulfill as many requests as humanly possible. So now we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about the project specifically, and we're going to start by talking about the development team. We always emphasize the importance of working with reputable builders, and there are two teams involved here. The first is Smart REIT, who own the 100-acre land that will be developed into Transit City. Smart REIT are one of Canada's largest real estate investment trusts, with total assets in excess of $8.6 billion. They own and manage in excess of 31 million square feet of retail plazas, and even if you're not familiar with the name Smart REIT or Smart Centres, chances are you know the company. They own plazas across Canada, many of which are anchored by Walmarts. In fact, 108 of their plazas, or approximately 1 in every 4 Walmarts in Canada, are in a Smart Centres plaza. The second team involved in Transit City is CENTRECOURT Developments, who are one of our favorite condo builders in Toronto. They're a builder that we've personally invested and purchased condos from, and will continue to do so because they have a key understanding of what makes a great condo project, and it's why their condos tend to sell out very, very fast. So here's a quick look at their very, very impressive portfolio of condominiums. We've got Peter Street Condominiums, Karma Condominiums at Yonge and College, Index at Bay and Adelaide, Core Condos, Grid Condos at Jarvis and Dundas, and most recently Axis Condos. There are a few reasons that we love CENTRECOURT condos, but there's some consistent traits of a CENTRECOURT condo that we tend to see time and time again. First, CENTRECOURT are laser focused in their approach to selecting sites. They're all in core areas nearby key rapid transit, a subway or other transit lines. Second, their floor plan designs are second to none. They design all of their buildings from the inside out, which means they develop the ideal floor plans first and then create the exterior around that. I've never met a developer that spends so much time on floor plans. Every single square millimeter from CENTRECOURT gets agonized over, and they create some of the best, most functional floor plans that we sell. One of the things that we as condo agents look for is the floor plate, which is how the floor plans lay out on each floor. It gives us a very quick snapshot of how the entire floor lays out, and we're able to very quickly get a sense of what to expect in terms of floor plans. What we see time and time again with CENTRECOURT is that their floor plans always favor very square floor plans with clean lines, and this is very, very important when it comes to designing floor plans. On the screen, you can see a few examples of what I'm referring to. At each of these projects, you can quickly see a theme. There's no strange angles, there's no odd-shaped buildings, there's no dark spots or irregular plans. All the suites have adequate amount of glass to let the light through, and you can see very, very quickly that CENTRECOURT puts a huge emphasis on the floor plans, and we're going to see the same thing for Transit City. Third, they spend a lot of time looking at how the amenity spaces are actually used throughout the buildings, and they revise their amenities based on actual usage, tailoring the amenity package based on the location and what the end user in this location will want. One of my favorite examples of this is at Grid Condos, which is, if you're not familiar with the project, is a project that's located just outside of Ryerson University. They quickly realized that the demographic here would be largely students, and determined that two key amenities for this user group would be a gym and high-tech study areas. And so the entire amenity package was designed and tailored with this user group in mind. For this specific condo project, they dedicated an entire floor of amenities to a student study area modeled after the Ryerson Student Learning Center, which is one of the most popular spaces for Ryerson students. So these three important key traits, key locations, efficient and livable floor plans, and innovative tailored amenities are very prevalent throughout all the projects, and especially in Transit City Condos. And in many ways, we actually think that the offering at Transit City is one of their best ever. So we're going to break these down in more detail as we go through the presentation. Next, we're going to take a closer look at the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre. And in order to understand why we think Transit City is one of the best investment opportunities in the condo land today, you have to understand what is happening in Vaughan. So first, we're going to take a quick look at the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre. The spark that ignited the enormous growth is the extension of the Yonge Spadina subway line, which is eventually going to connect all the way to downtown Toronto and will be opening at the end of this year. This became the catalyst for the huge growth and the huge plan to redevelop this area as a brand new downtown in Vaughan called the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre, or as I'll probably refer to it throughout this presentation, the VMC. So the VMC is huge. It's a multi-billion-dollar redevelopment that is anchored by this new subway station. The entire plan is huge, and it's going to span 442 acres. The overall plan is going to include 1.5 million square feet of commercial space, with KPMG and RBC having already opened up corporate head offices in Vaughan, with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and many, many more to come along. There's going to be 750,000 square feet of brand new retail. They're expecting 12,000 new residences in terms of condos to house up to 25,000 new people. There's going to be great, unique cultural spaces, brand new hotels, brand new entertainment districts, and so much more. What is important to understand here is that this is a true multifaceted downtown that's going to be a true live, work, play environment, and is being designed by some of the best urban planners in the world. Of the 442 acres that make up the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre, Smart REIT own over 100 acres of the area, which is the parcel of land that is eventually going to be known as Transit City. What this means is that about a quarter of the VMC will be designed and developed by Smart REIT and CENTRECOURT. And because they control so much of an important parcel of the new downtown, mainly the land that wraps around the subway station, this gives Transit City in particular a lot of advantages over the other condo projects in the VMC. So before we go any further, I just wanted to put some context on how big a redevelopment this is. 442 acres is a huge parcel of land. This is the single largest urban redevelopment that is currently taking place in Canada, and we wanted to highlight the scope of this development compared to some of the other large-scale redevelopments currently taking place in Toronto. So to the left, we have a few of the big popular redevelopments that have taken place recently. And the first one is Liberty Village, which is a 43-acre redevelopment that has taken place over the last 15 years. The next one is City Place, 44 acres. East Bayfront is a brand new waterfront development being developed right now in downtown Toronto. It's a 55-acre redevelopment. The Celestica site up at Dunn Mills in Eglinton, another huge redevelopment taking place, is 60 acres. The Unilever site in downtown East, 60 acres, and Regent Park, one that we often point to as one of the biggest redevelopments in all of North America, is 69 acres. Transit City, which makes up a quarter of the VMC by comparison, is 100 acres. And of course, the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre as an overall redevelopment is an incredible 442 acres. And just to emphasize this point even further, and just to help you visualize the scope of this new downtown, we've already mentioned that the VMC is 442 acres. And just to help you visualize this size, we took a place that we assumed a lot of people would know, and that's High Park, which is the biggest park in Toronto. High Park is 400 acres, which is about 10% smaller than the VMC. And so you can see it here, we layered High Park on top of the VMC just to highlight the size. To take this one step further, what we wanted to do is also look at how big that space would be compared to downtown Toronto. So what we did here was we layered the 400-acre High Park on top of downtown Toronto at the same scale. As you can see on the map, the 400 acres would cover a huge area of Toronto, from Bloor Street all the way down to Dundas, and from University to Church Street. This is an enormous redevelopment, and that's the main point that I'm trying to make here. And to help us transition into the next talking point, which is the 100 acres or 1/4 of the VMC that makes up Transit City, the reason we're so excited about this project in particular is that it occupies some of the most important land in the VMC, because it occupies the land around the subway station. To carry the analogy of downtown Toronto, this is sort of like Transit City occupying the land surrounding Yonge Street, which is where the subway line runs along, and is often referred to as the center of downtown Toronto. We think the same thing's going to happen in Vaughan, where Transit City will become the center of this huge redevelopment. So next we're going to zero in a little bit more on Transit City, the 100 acres that makes up this amazing project. Here, there's a number of benefits of having a single owner control this portion of land. And when we consider the more broad scope of VMC, you'll see how that plays out. So here's an overview of the master plan of the 100 acres that Transit City will occupy. And there's a couple of major areas here that I'm really excited about. First is the cohesion of the entire plan and how the different sections all work together. It is not going to be just a collection of residential condominiums after residential condominium, but instead it's a mixed-use space that's going to include brand new commercial towers, so high-quality jobs with KPMG already in and PwC already confirmed. There's going to be brand new retail. Obviously, there's going to be brand new condominiums, and there's huge importance placed on public spaces, with the developers dedicating 10% of their land to a public 9-acre linear park that is going to become the centerpiece of Transit City. Sometimes when you have different developers owning the different parcels of land, you often get different visions that don't quite interact in a cohesive way. Sometimes when you've got different people pulling in different directions, the whole process can become slow and cumbersome, and to get something of this scope off the ground can take a long time. In this case, SmartREIT are able to determine what the best use case is for each piece of this land. And they brought in some of the best urban planners, designers, and architects to create this huge master plan that will ultimately benefit the entire Vaughan Metropolitan Centre. So it was determined pretty early on that there would be a major focus on how people live in urban centres, what amenities are important, and what promotes growth. And there's a couple of key items that they came across. Number one was jobs. People want to live close to jobs. And what's great about the VMC and Transit City in this neighborhood, that this area has already started to attract world-class jobs and office spaces. We've already mentioned KPMG, we've already mentioned RBC, and we've already mentioned PricewaterhouseCoopers, but this is just the beginning for this area. It's expected that there's going to be over 1.5 million square feet of office space in the new VMC. The next is public spaces. Public spaces play a huge role in the success or failure of an urban neighborhood. The best neighborhoods have some kind of unique public areas, and this is really where the life happens. At the heart of Transit City will be this stunning 9-acre central park that's going to run approximately 1 kilometer in length. It's going to become the centerpiece of this neighborhood, and just imagine the space that will be surrounded by amazing architecture with streets lined with coffee shops and restaurants. Is really going to be an amazing space. Nowhere else is there 100 acres with transit at the doorstep, a 9-acre park, one group of ownership. It doesn't exist. This is really a once-in-a-lifetime legacy type development once it's complete. So next we're going to talk specifically about the first phase of condominiums at Transit City. So here's a quick few bullet points about the condominium. At 55 stories, it's going to become the tallest condominium in the new downtown Vaughan. It's going to be 2 stories higher than the 53-story Icona condos. Transit City is going to be located just steps to the subway station and is next door to the regional bus terminal, which has an underground path connection directly to the subway. One of the areas that Transit City will really shine is the lobby experience. And they've borrowed this concept from 5-star hotels across Toronto to help make this an important space for the building and for the entire area. For the amenities at Transit City, we're going to discuss a very exciting partnership that's going to give residents access to world-class amenities. And most importantly, there's huge emphasis placed on high quality and functional floor plans with no wasted space. And this is something we're always excited about. So let's break these down one by one. So first, we already touched on, but Transit City is going to be just steps to the subway. There's going to be a lot of residential development happening in Vaughan in the coming years, and just like downtown Toronto, the ones that are closest to the subway will be the ones that over time are going to command the best prices and rents. This map shows the VMC, and we've highlighted a couple of things here. The first is where the subway and the bus terminal will sit, which you can see on the map now. We've dropped in some green pins here to highlight where the other condominium projects are located that have launched in the last 12 to 18 months. And the distance from the subway here is as much as 1 kilometer, or a 10 to 11 minute walk from the subway. And again, to help contextualize what this means and compare it to downtown Toronto, a 10 to 11 minute walk to the subway is the equivalent of a condominium being on Sherbourne Street as opposed to Yonge Street. And if you know anything about real estate in Toronto, you know that there's a world of difference between the real estate on Yonge and the real estate on Sherbourne. The next pin, the orange pin here, highlights where the first phase of Transit City will be located. It's literally steps to the transit terminal, which has an underground connection to the subway. This is very, very, very important to note, and one of the key reasons why we believe Transit City will be the special one in this area. In this image, you can get a real sense of just how close the front door of this condominium will be to the transit entrance. Next up, one of the big stories about Transit City that made it into the media was a story about how the lobby will feature a Buka branded restaurant in an effort to help make the lobby of Transit City a place or space that people will gather. Now, whether you know the Buka brand or you don't, the messaging here is very, very important. Buka are an upscale coffee house and bar that only operate out of downtown Toronto. They have a very downtown vibe, and one of their locations is in the Four Seasons Hotel in Toronto, one of the most luxurious condos and hotels in the world. The importance of Buka coming to Vaughan is twofold. First, it sends a very strong message in terms of the direction that this new downtown Vaughan wants to go. If you think about it, they could have easily put in a Tim Hortons or a Second Cup or a Starbucks, or if they wanted to go the restaurant route, they could have opted for a Kelsey's or a Jack Astor's, but by selecting a Buka, it really helps sets the tone for the direction that this new downtown Vaughan wants to go. They're trying to bring in this world-class experience that you would traditionally find in downtown Toronto, and they want to bring that to Vaughan. The next key role that Buka plays in the lobby is that the Buka experience is exceptional, and Transit City have identified that a world-class lobby is very important in helping to elevate buildings. These spaces become places that people congregate, gather, and meet at. The concept is borrowed from top hotels across the city, and if you're familiar with them, places like the Shangri-La or the Ritz-Carlton, where the lobbies have become almost like a living room for the building and have become very popular destinations in Toronto. And because Transit City is one of the first buildings that you'll see outside of the transit entrance, we think that the Buka lobby in Transit City is going to become a very important piece of the puzzle. We're really excited about the Buka connection to Transit City, and we think it's going to play a huge role in making this tower stand out from the others. Next up, for the amenities. Transit City is going to be located next door to a brand new YMCA facility that the residents are going to have access to. And this is another incredible and genius idea that I think is going to benefit the residents of Transit City. It gives residents access to world-class facilities, a brand new gym, swimming pool, a full aquatic center, saunas, gymnasiums, childcare facilities, and a huge library, and at a much higher quality than you would be able to find in the traditional condo amenity space. There's no condo corporation that can maintain the amenity space to the same level and to the same service that a fully functional YMCA can. This is going to be a huge benefit to the residents, but also to the long-term health of the condo corporation. Without the need to upkeep and maintain these facilities, there's going to be a long-term benefit on maintenance fees in the long run. And finally, and we always try and save the best for last, the floor plate and plans for Transit City are going to be best in class. We don't have any floor plans to show you tonight, but based on our meetings with the team, we can tell you that the floor plans are as good as we could hope for. Here's a look at the floor plate, and there's a couple of major takeaways here. First, just like all the other CENTRECOURT projects, you'll notice that the floor plate is really the stuff dreams are made of. Suites are perfectly square, with straight lines, no angles, no dark spots, no knuckle suites, and as condo agents, this is what we really love to see. Second, you'll notice that there's a huge emphasis on two-bedroom suites here. In fact, 80% of this building will be two-bedroom or larger. And this is a direct response to market feedback. We know what suites sell well, and we know where the demand is. And in Vaughan, there is a huge demand for fully functional two-bedroom suites with two bathrooms and efficient floor plans, and that is something that Transit City has put a huge emphasis on. We're really excited about this suite mix and the suite design because we think that Transit City really, really nailed it, and we think you guys are going to love them. Finally tonight, we're going to talk about the key dates and how you will actually be able to purchase a suite at Transit City. So on May 23rd, that's next Tuesday, that is going to be the Platinum VIP Broker Launch. This is when we as brokers will receive all the floor plans and prices and event, which is going to happen at noon. This is really when we expect the frenzy to begin, and this is why we're so adamant about you guys being prepared in advance. On the same day, our team is going to be hosting a private VIP client event. It's going to run from 3 to 9 p.m. and it's going to be at a site nearby Transit City. Everybody on this call will certainly be invited, and you'll get full instructions and location details for the event in the coming days. At this event, you're going to have first access to the floor plans and price list, and you'll have the opportunity to speak to our team and to submit your suite purchase request right on the spot. Between now and then, we want you to be as prepared as possible. And if you have any questions or feel like we missed anything on the webinar tonight, please reach out to us directly, either by using the little chat box on the webinar window, or you can send us an email. Everybody on this call will have our email. Just reply to the emails that you've already been receiving from us, and we'll respond to each and every single question. So that's everything we have for you tonight. Again, we want to thank you immensely for joining us this evening, and we cannot wait to work with you at Transit City Condos.